Why is Europe afraid of the upcoming winters? It's no secret that Europe is heading towards a severe energy crisis. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February, energy prices across Europe have already skyrocketed, and a major energy crisis is expected in the coming winter months. While rising bills are inevitable, the other major risk for Europe is supply disruptions. Prices began to rise above historically normal levels, and for many families these days, it feels like paychecks are evaporating immediately as inflation drives up the cost of food and fuel, landlords raise the rent, and utility bills continue to skyrocket. Inflation in the Eurozone jumped to a new all-time high of 9.1% in August. Let's have a detailed look at why Europe is afraid of the upcoming winter. War. As fighting continues to rage in Ukraine, the war is already making itself felt across the continent in the form of inflation, fears of gas shortages, and a sharply declining economy. And with Russian President Vladimir Putin determined to use food, fuel, and fertilizer as weapons of war against Western democracies, arming Ukraine and sanctioning Moscow, things could quickly get worse. As the war drags on, or even escalates in ferocity, it is predicted that European governments will come under pressure from poorer, hungrier, and colder citizens. And to that, a possible large influx of refugees from a global food crisis, heat waves drying up parts of Europe's farmland, and the risk of new COVID infections and disrupted supply chains this winter. And it's no wonder how long Western governments will be able to sustain their unity and determination. This raises the question to the extent to which European governments are prepared to withstand a Russian economic attack. Gas shortage. As a major exporter of food, fertilizer, oil, and gas, Russia enjoys a significant impact on the European economy. This will only become clearer as temperatures drop and households that freeze compete with manufacturers for natural gas. Already, 12 European countries have suffered from a complete or partial shutdown of Russian gas. Russia's major step was shutting down the Nord Stream 1 pipeline, which supplies gas to Germany, France, Italy, and Austria. It thwarted European efforts to build up supplies for the winter. In Germany, politicians have prepared gas emergency plans. Russia offered technical reasons and excuses for the shutdown, calling it maintenance issues. The planned maintenance should last until July, but there is a growing concern in the capitals of the countries that Moscow will find a pretext to extend the shutdown. European countries tend to consume much more gas in winter as compared to summer. In the warmer months, they buy gas to stock it. Large European gas importers store the gas in natural caverns and cavities underground and at sea and then drain the reserves as needed in colder weather. Amid all the doom and darkness, there is at least some positive news, as the European Union has adopted new rules urging countries to refuel in time for the winter, with reserves currently at 62%. But with alternative pipelines already full and liquefied natural gas imports constrained by limited port facilities, there is little capacity to compensate for a potential shortage. This means that governments will be forced to ask consumers to curb demand or make drastic sectoral cuts. However, the EU has chosen to pay a high price to achieve sufficient gas supply before winter. At the same time, this is no guarantee that there will be no bottlenecks. Since Europe is still dependent on more imports during the winter months, there is a possibility that a cold winter will lead to shortages. Inflation. On the food front, prices rose sharply after Russia's blockade of Ukraine, which is a major supplier of grain and sunflower oil. Food prices have fallen slightly worldwide, but are still extremely high compared to that time last year. And the worst could come if the prices of fertilizers, which are linked to the cost of natural gas, remain sky high in the coming season. Global architectural prices have risen by 30% since the Russian invasion. Higher costs for fertilizers means that farmers around the world will use them more sparingly and therefore produce lower yields, potentially escalating an affordability crisis into a full-blown supply emergency. A survey commissioned by the European Parliament this spring found that almost 60% of EU citizens say that they are unwilling to accept price increases for food or energy. The worst-case scenario from a European perspective will be that the food crisis triggers a new wave of mass migration and puts further pressure on political systems. Electricity crisis. There are no signs that the energy crisis will improve anytime soon. Energy prices have skyrocketed in Europe as Russia cut natural gas supplies to the continent. Amid these tensions between Moscow and the West over the war, fears of more drastic cuts in the winters arise. energy traders in Europe are experiencing almost incomparable price increases. Natural gas uses natural gas to generate electricity and heat, and it now costs about 10 times more than that it did of last year. Energy prices linked to the price of gas are also many times higher than what it would be considered normal. In the UK, the wholesale price for a megawatt hour of electricity in August reached a record daily average of around £500, about 5 times the level of August 2021. Those cuts are forcing gas utilities to buy gas on the spot market at higher and more volatile prices than longer-term Gazprom contracts. In many countries across Europe, gas and electricity prices are closely intertwined, and this relationship has contributed to serious problems. Survival. The EU needs to find ways to combat the energy crisis in the upcoming winter. An ambitious project to build a large new pipeline from Spain to France was abandoned in 2019. If work were resumed today, the project would take at least 3 years to complete. Germany's grid could receive more gas via France from neighbours closer than Spain. It has some capacity to absorb more liquefied natural gas by sea and is rushing to provide more. A new facility in Wilhelmshaven on Germany's North Sea coast could be completed by the end of this year or early next year. In addition, the EU is rushing to sign new contracts with Azerbaijan and transport the gas through pipeline through Turkey to southern Europe. Gas could one day also come from more distant areas of Central Asia, as Turkmenistan has built a pipeline to the Caspian Sea. An underwater pipeline through the Caspian Sea could bring the gas into the Azerbaijan network. Perhaps the most dangerous vulnerability lies in the German network itself. Gas is pressed under pressure through pipelines. If the grid does not contain enough gas, the pressure drops and the gas cannot move. To maintain pressure in high priority pipes, the gas may need to be completely shut down in lower priority pipes. So, this was all about Europe's concern for the upcoming winter. Hopefully, the EU will adopt the right strategy to tackle these challenging times. I hope you liked this video, and we will see you in the next one. But before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon for future updates. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.